Welcome back to another session on my Caribbean and Latin American news channel Now, I know that you have not been watching the videos as you did before. I'm wondering what is happening, but please let me know what is the best time to publish for those of you who might be eager to watch the videos, because it's important that you begin to watch them during the initial stage of the video, as YouTube decides that it will bury the videos if the videos are not watched early. They call it early engagement, right? So you have to engage the videos early so that YouTube will send them to other people's feed. Now, you also all need to turn on your bell so that YouTube will send it to you. Even when you turn on your bell, they sometimes don't send it. It's very weird how the system functions here on YouTube. And then I must say that many of the videos that I publish are YouTube sensitive, and sometimes they might not want some of the things said. So you need to engage the videos so that they can be sent along with you, so that the channel can be prosperous and that we can send and dispatch truth and engaging and critical commentaries to people around the world, in the region specifically. Now, this afternoon's topic, I'm going to be titling it Zone of Peace or Zone of War. That's the question. Caribbean split as US-Venezuela tensions explode. That's a very fitting topic, as we're looking at the war on Venezuela. And I suggested on my other channel, Rumination News Network, that we can no longer say impending war on Venezuela. We have to say it's the war. The war has already started, hasn't it? When we think that almost 80 people that they've reported to us have died, I wonder why this is now in my eyesight. I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, but what I'm saying, 80 people they're suggesting have died since this, war in Venezuela, the narrative started, because the United States has struck how many boats? I think 2021 boats have struck, which have resulted in the deaths of 80 people to date. Now, if 80 people have died, and those people were not any threat, according to what the news told us, informed us, it means, therefore, that the war has begun, because we have 80 deaths, and we don't know the reason for which they died. The US president has just asserted that they are drug smugglers without due process. But we can't determine if that is true. And we can't make that a normal procedure to convict and to charge people. They've got to be charged and be convicted into a court of law. And when we have normalized it and the president can just come and shoot and shoots indiscriminately, right? It means, therefore, that we have lost our democratic rights. Remember now that the president is also saying, that the president of the United States is also saying that very soon he's going to move inland. So he's going to move from the high seas to land. And that means, therefore, that that could result in the deaths of many people as more people are on land. So if the president is striking or decides to strike a bus, let's give an example, because he deems or he suspects that there are some drug smugglers on the bus, then imagine the number of passengers that could be caught up in such a conflict, a major conflict, and could result in their deaths. So these are things that we have to be thinking about. We need to think about these things, because what is happening in our world now, we're seeing that our world is moving into a world that is unlike the world that we were raised in, at least the Western world in which we live. We had due process. You first, presented your suspicions, and then you were innocent until proven guilty. But what we're seeing now, the United States is suggesting that through its president, through the office of the US presidency, it has, during wartime, the power to declare war upon enemy combatants. And these that they deem unlawful or enemy combatants means that they would have lost their privilege or their right to due process. Now, is this a world we want to live in? Or do we want to live in a peaceful and law-abiding society. Okay? And I don't know. I really wonder. I don't know at this point in time what world many of our citizens want to live in. Because we claim we want to live in a democratic world, but sometimes our actions say otherwise. Are we engaging our governments and letting them know that we are not pleased with what they're doing? Or are we just packing stadiums to watch the reggae boys and the soca boys, the soca people play a game of soccer, play a game of football? Is that what we're interested in? Or are we more willing to have peaceful protest actions against the unlawful policies of our respective governments? These are things that we need to reflect on, okay? Because it seems to me that they are forcing us into a zone of war with this phony war on Venezuela. The Caribbean is no longer speaking with one voice. As the United States signals a potential confrontation with Venezuela, the region is suddenly split between those calling for diplomacy and those preparing for a security crisis. So we can see that Trinidad and Tobago is calling more for war and suggesting that in order for us to have peace, the United States has to wage war. And the United States has to settle and has to dismantle these transnational criminal elements through the process of war, just cleansing the region of these people without due process. And we're not here, and some people are asking me, are you a drug supporter? No, I'm not a drug supporter. But what I'm suggesting, if you suspect that I am a drug lord, I'm a drug kingpin, then it is my right to go through due process for you to present your evidence against me. And if I am guilty, so let the charges be. But what if I'm not guilty? What if your suspicions were incorrect? And oftentimes our suspicions are incorrect. Not all the times when we have suspicions that they are correct, yet still we are on board. Some of us, I shouldn't say all of us, some of us are on board with what President Trump is doing. A significant portion of the Trinidadian population are on board with President Trump's view. And I say that because there is a YouTuber online. As soon as he publishes this video, wow, they crowd him, the Trinidadians crowd him, and they begin to have discussions about, yes, and he's suggesting that he's on Trump's side. And that because he's not Trinidadian, but he suggests that Trinidadians are feeling the brunt of the crime and violence, the consequences thereof in their country. So he is on board with Trump and Trump's agenda to eradicate these transnational criminal networks. But, it sounds good. The agenda sounds good, at least in words, right? But when we think about the actions, the methods, they're not good. Okay, I might have a very good topic to teach my students, an exciting topic, but if the content and if the methodology that I'm going to use in that topic are not good, then the lesson is going to be horrific. It's not going to be engaging. It's not going to be impactful. It's not going to be empowering. All right. And that's what we're saying, that yes, the United States has the right objective to work with Caribbean leaders to dismantle such transnational criminal networks. But it has to be a collaborative effort. It can't be that you're going to pit one country against the other, right? And not have dialogue. Dialogue is important, and the United States does not seem interested to engage the region in dialogue. And this is my point. I am not here siding with Nicolas Maduro. I'm not here siding with the United States or the government of Kamala Harris-Becerra. Neither am I against them. I might critique what they're doing. I might be against the policies or some of the policies that they are using in their combat against transnational criminal networks. Okay? But I would love to see the region living in peace without any crime at all. But that is also wishful thinking because we're not living in a world where we have righteousness and everybody is law abiding and think like us. You have mentally deranged people in the first place. You have some of our leaders, a lot of them engaged in illicit activities, including drug trafficking and human trafficking. And these are the things that we have to come to grips with. We can't believe that our leaders are sanctimonious and that they too are not involved in drug, gun, and human trafficking. Lots of them are. And that's what we have to do now. We have to, whether Trump is right and he is truly sincere in dismantling the criminal elements in the Caribbean and Latin American region, he needs to come clean and also look at from the top to the bottom. He has to begin at the top first. And then we can see that they're serious. And then we have to now engage people, including the courts, to see if the people that we're charging, that we suspect are involved in any of these nefarious organizations, if they are in fact guilty, and what would be, according to the court, according to the judge, what would be their respective, judgment, right? What action will be taken against them for having engaged themselves, for having been engaged in such, nefarious activities, illicit activities. Okay? But we can't just have a president just coming and killing people indiscriminately, getting away with it, and we remain quiet and think that after all the killings have been done and Nicolas Maduro goes, if he ever goes, that we'll just have a wonderful time and we'll be ushered into an era of peace and prosperity and stability. That is not going to happen. That is delusional and wishful thinking. Okay? And I'm not here to give you that impression. I am here to speak the truth, though the heavens fall. And I know that many people don't like when I speak the truth. They think when I speak the truth that I'm speaking down to them. No. But I have to call a spade, and we're living in a world now of being politically correct. That you must not speak firmly, and you must not say things as they really are. You must dress them up in diplomatic ways. Now, if Trump is not doing that, why should you? If he's shooting, allowing people to be shot at, to be struck at in the Caribbean region, that to me is a hallmark of a lack of diplomacy. And we've got to call it out for what it is. It's naked imperialism. Okay? And that is what we need to understand. Naked imperialism. Now, Brazil has revived its call for a zone of peace, as we spoke in the last video, urging Caribbean states and Latin American states as well to avoid military escalation. But at the same time, the US is deepening military training in the region, including jungle warfare exercises that many are quietly questioning. And I did tell you that in Panama, the United States is there now, having jungle warfare exercises, training them so that when they enter Venezuela, when they strike the land in Venezuela, then they'll be able to deal with those, some of the soldiers who might be living in the jungles. Now, from Trinidad to Jamaica to Guyana, leaders are trying to balance alliances, national security, and the growing fear that the Caribbean could be pulled into a conflict it did not create. So that is what they're doing right now. We are in a conflict that we did not create, but we are somehow engulfed into this conflict. And it seems that we have no choice. And we can't be neutral because we're engulfed in it. We are in the middle of it. But we have to be principled and adhere to legal framework and legal um, principles. We've got to do it. If not, then we are going to ultimately lose our rights forever. And this region will be plunged into a permanent zone of war. Do you want that to happen? Is this a region that you'd like yourself and your children to live in? Thank you so much for joining. I hope that you like, share, and subscribe. Like the video so the videos can be shared with as many people on the platform. See you in another one. Ciao.